Okay. All right, so continuing in chapter 4 in Mesilas Yesharim. Right, so we're talking about ways to acquire Zehirus, right? Vigilance. And so we're saying that the motivation to be careful with one's actions, right? And to be analytical, right? Is different motivation for different people. Right? So the perfectionists will be motivated by perfection. Then the next level, I call them competitionists, meaning people who are intelligent. They're motivated by competition, meaning because the essence of Olam Hazeh is kinos ish mir'ehu. It brings from Koheles, right? That everybody judges their satisfaction by really comparing with themselves to others. Mm-hmm. So if in this world we want to be, above others, so certainly in the next world we're gonna be disappointed, right? If a person is missing some ability to go to Florida or to go to a Caribbean vacation and he feels lacking as a result, right? So what's a Caribbean vacation? It's nothing. But missing Olam Haba as a result of your stupidity, that's going to make you feel very bad. So if you were to visualize that eternal loss, certainly you would capitalize on every opportunity. All right, that's the idea. And then he brings this pasuk. I want to maybe go delve into just for a second. So let's start over here. I have a kvar lo haya mokum lepitoy hazeh. That's where pardon me. By us it's page 75. Right, let me see. It is. All right, it's all right. It's right. Well, it's a slightly different breakup of paragraph. It's really over here. Okay, really, there would be no place for this pitui, for this what's the word? Delusion. Delusion is not such a great word. Temptation, right? There would be no pitui, meaning like whatever. Okay, delusion. That these people are saying, what do I need to try so hard? All right. Okay, so I'm not gonna have the best Olam Haba. Right? Just let me do my thing. Let me chill. Let me relax. Live my life. Right? So they would not think that way. There would be no place for such a delusion, for these people, if they would be able to see the true reality for what it is. Okay? Now, just saying that to me, right? Remember, Ramchal, the Vilna Gaon says certainly in the beginning of Mesilas Yesharim, there's not an extra word. Mm-hmm. This line to me seems like an extra line because, obviously, there would be no mokum for delusion if I would see the truth. That's the nature of delusion, is that I don't see the truth, right? So if I see the truth, then there is no place for delusion. Okay, so why is he saying it? I'm not sure. So I'm not saying maybe at the end of the day he's trying to convince you, right? He's trying to sell you the point that internalize this reality and the delusion will fall away, right? So he's trying to convince you to internalize the reality that Olam Haba is a real thing, and the more real it's going to become, the less you will be enticed by Olam Hazeh, right?
He translates it here. This temptation would lose its hold over them.
Right. So I'm saying, but again, obviously, all of our temptations are a result of us not being, reality. What's the word? Connected, right? But so again, I think the point of the line is to drive home the internalization of this reality. But it's because they don't really pursue it, right? Meaning pursue the truth. People don't really try to internalize this truth, like Isai said. And they continue to be delusional according to their will. intentionally, therefore this delusion will not be removed from them until the time when they're no longer able to do anything about it. Because there will be now it's going to be no longer in their ability to fix what they destroyed. Right? So in other words, your Yetzer Hara works till the day you die. Right? Maybe you have a different Yetzer Hara, but the point is, that's what he's saying is that we have different Yetzer Haras in different parts of our lives, right? When we're younger, we have one Yetzer Hara. When we're older, we have a different Yetzer Hara. But that's not the Yetzer Hara. But there's one Yetzer Hara, so to speak, that is throughout our lives, and that is distortion of reality, right? That the Yetzer Hara works until the day we die. Right? But once we die and we see the reality, then it's too late. And this is what Shlomo Melech says in Koheles, Shalom. Now, here's the again, this is one of those situations where in reality, every time Ramchal quotes a pasuk, you really have to look it up. Mm-hmm. So let's translate literally first. Koil asher timtza yodecha, right? Whatever you find in your hand, timtza means find, but whatever you are able to do, right? Koil asher timtza yodecha, whatever you find in your hand, lasois, to do, bekoichecha, with your strength, asay, do. Right? So there's a it's not so smooth. Right? Whatever you find in your hand, meaning that's with your strength. Lasso is to do, with your strength, do. Right? So there's a repetition of that kind of, right? And the pasuk continues, why ki ein ma'isa? Because there's no action. V'cheshboin, right? Accounting. V'das, and knowledge. V'chochma, and wisdom. V'shu'oil, in the grave, asher tohelach shama, that which towards which you're going. Right? So there are four things mentioned in this pasuk. What aren't you going to have in the kever? What aren't you getting in the shu'oil? You're not going to have ma'isa. You're not going to have action. Mm-hmm. You're not going to have cheshbon. Right? You're not going to have das. You're not going to have knowledge. You're not going to have chokhmah. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So how would you get it? Without Ramchal, what would you say? What do you think this pasuk is saying? Or maybe you think it's Ramchal. So there's. Okay, let me just speak it out. Okay. So so one possibility is kol shetimtza yodecha lasois, whatever your hand is able to find to do, bekoichecha asay, do with all your strength. Okay.
Meaning whatever comes.
Meaning whatever you're able, whatever you're gonna do it full force. Okay, that's one option, right? Okay, that's not how the Ramchal is learning it. Ramchal is learning it. Let's see how he's learning. V'hainu, what is it saying? Kimashi ein ha'odam oise, whatever a person is not doing, at shehakoyach moser biyodoi miboirei. Whatever a person is not able to do while he still has the koyach that is given into his hand from the Creator, right? What is this koyach? Hu hakoyach habechiri, which is the power of free will. Hamoser loy kol yemei chayev, which is given to him the entirety of all the days of his life. Shehu bahem bechiri umitzuva lasais, which is what he can do with this free will. He has commandment to do. Hine lo yuchal lasais oid bekever b'shoel. He will no longer be able to do when he is in the kever, in the grave, and in the shoel. Right? It seems like two different things, kever and shoel. Okay, because at that point, so why can't you do it what you are able to do here? Because you don't have the koyach. What's the koyach? The koyach of free will. You don't possess this ability. Right? So first of all, so why don't I have the koyach? Because I don't have free will. So in other words, do what you can do now, because b'koychacha, right over here. So right, meaning Ramchal translates the word b'koychacha, with your ability, means with your free will. Right? That's what he says, because he's using the word of the pasuk, koyach. The koyach that Hashem gave you, I say, do. Whatever you can do with the koyach, hainu, which is free will, do. Right? Because when you get to kever, what won't you have? You won't have the free will. Well, I mean, I'll also be dead, and dead people don't do mitzvahs so much. I mean, right? I mean,
but still, right?
Right? What I may be alive and still not have free will, right? If Hashem appears to me and shows me the reality, right? I'm not going to have the delusion that he said before. I could be alive and not have the free will. Hashem could remove the free will from me, right? But you could be dead, and you could have free will as much as you want. You just have no physical ability to do anything, right? So that's how the Ramchal is learning the pasuk, and then the pasuk continues. Because whoever did not increase good deeds in his life, right? So now he's referring to the second half of the pasuk. What? Right? Ki ein ma'isa, there is no action. Meaning ma'isa means the good deeds, right? Whoever did not increase good deeds in his life, right? He will not be able to do them afterwards. And now this is where Ramchal gets very creative, right? Because what does cheshbon mean according to Ramchal? So I can't do actions, right? What else can't I do? I can't do cheshbon. What does cheshbon mean? Cheshbon means this, what he's talking about, the accounting, the Zehirus, the ability to analyze my actions. Right? I can't do actions when I die. I can't do accounting of my actions when I die. Right?
I mean, you in the realm of complete clarity, and therefore there's nothing to discuss. There's nothing to analyze anymore.
Okay, well, let's say, I'll get back to that in a second, right? So, whoever did not contemplate the reckoning of his actions, he will not have time or the opportunity to make a reckoning then. And whoever did not become wise in this world, will not become wise in the grave. Okay, right? Why not? I will become wise in the grave. Hashem will show me the reality, right? Okay, okay, what?
No, why is it really you're able to do the right decision? It says there's no decision making.
So that's not wisdom. Knowledge is meaning seeing Hashem and viewing the reality is not wisdom. Wisdom is only if I have what?
No, like King Solomon. Everybody acknowledged he's wise after he was made right ruling. So he's wise. He was able to do right decision making, whatever. Because otherwise, what criteria to measure wise or not wise?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure if I agree with that. Okay, let's see. Good. And then he skips das. Right? Assuming that he skips das, doesn't explain where das comes in, but assuming das and chachma is synonymous, I guess, according to him. Right? That's what the pasuk says. There's no ma'is in the cheshbon das b'chachma asher ata. Right. Good. Right? So that's how he is learning this phrase. Again, understand? Now there are many other ways to learn this phrase. Right? What I mean by that, the Medrash, Pashup Pshat, and Ibn Ezra learns it that way, meaning the Medrash tries to avoid it, but the Medrash clearly sees the Pashup Pshat as the Pasuk saying completely opposite. If you look at the Psukim in Koheles, right? This is chapter 9. It starts out in Pasuk Beis. It starts out Hakol Kasher Lakol. Everything is to everybody. Mikra Echad. There's one happening. Latzadik, to the righteous. L'Rasha, and to the Rasha. Latoiv, to the good person. V'latahar, and to the pure person. V'latome. V'lazoiveach, and somebody who brings karbonos. V'lasher, and nenozoiveach, somebody who does not bring karbonos. Katoiv, like a good person. Kachoita, like a sinner. It's all the same.
It doesn't matter.
Right? That's what he's saying over here. Right? Kimikra echad lakoil, one happening to all of them. Right? Then he says, Kimi asher yechubar el kol achayim yish bitachon. Whoever is attached to the living has hope. And a lekelav chay hu tov min ari emes. A live dog is better than a dead lion. Okay? Ki achayim yoidim sheyimusu, because living people know that they will die. Ve'emesim einam yoidim me'uma, and the dead people don't know anything. Ve'enod lehem sachar. There's no more reward for them because their remembrance is forgotten. Gam havosam, their love, their hate, their jealousy, all is lost. V'chelik ein lehem oid lo'olam b'chol asher nasat achas shemesh. They don't have a chelik and they don't have a part, they don't have a stake in anything that happens in the world. And he says, Leich echel b'simcha, lechemecha, go eat your bread with simcha, u'shosei b'leiv tov yinecha, and drink with good heart your wine. Tikvar ratzo elokim es masecha. Hashem already accepted your deeds, approved of your deeds. But then he says, all your clothing should always be white, and you shouldn't have oil on your head. Right? Then he says, look at life with your wife, that you love, all the days of your empty life. Right? Hashem gives under your son. This is your portion in your life. Then it says, whatever you can find in your hand with your strength, do. So the simple meaning that the Ibn Ezra translates, meaning do whatever you want, because there's no reckoning in the grave that you are doing. There's no cheshbon, right? There's no cheshbon. There's no accounting. There's no cheshbon. So the Medrash says you have to flip this verse upside down, meaning it's a rhetoric, meaning it's sarcastic. The tone of this verse is supposed to be sarcastic. Do whatever you want, because there's no cheshbon. Meaning, of course, there is cheshbon, and so don't be stupid, right? Right. But so the cheshbon over here, according to Ibn Ezra and the Medrash in Pashup Pshat, is the cheshbon of the Kodesh Baruch Hu, right? But the Ramchal is learning that the cheshbon is your cheshbon, right? Is your cheshbon. So I'm saying he gets this. Not I'm saying he doesn't make it up. Let's say the Rambam, right? This is the Rambam in Pirkei Avos. He learns it like this. This is the Pirkei Avos says in Parak Dalet Mishnah Yud Zayin, Hu Hoy Oimer. He used to say, this is Rabbi Yaakov. He used to say, Yofa Sha'achas B'Tshuva. Better 1 hour, all right, or 1 moment in Tshuva Maisim Tovim. Right, Ba'olam Hazeh, in this world, Mekol Chai Ha'olam Haboin, all of the life of the world to come. Right? So says the Rambam. It says, right, Kvar Be'arno, we already explained in Parak Yud Misanhedrin, She'ein Achar Amovas Shleimus, there is no after death any more perfecting of oneself. V'loitei sefes, and you cannot, and no additional things that you can do. Amnam Yashlim Ha'odam V'Yosef Maila Ba'olam Hazeh, any kind of perfection and any kind of elevation that a person can achieve can only achieve in this world. Right, this is what Shlomo Melech is teaching us, that there's none of these things. Right? Whatever person goes in this world, that's what he's going to retain forever. So a person has to make an effort in the limited time that he has. And he should not lose any time, but only to acquire some elevation. The Hasidim knew this, and they would not limit their time with wisdom, with some kind of elevation. And whatever time they had, they would use in true path. They would not lose, kind of waste their time in Gashmis. Whatever limited that they needed. Right. He says, but the majority of people, they turn the truth upside down. The people who are righteous, they're losing this world, right? And the regular, the people who go after this world, they gain this world. And the truth, this is the opposite, right? They turn darkness into light, and light into darkness. Woe to those who destroy the truth. Right? That's the main idea of Kahelis. Okay, so again, so this is the Rambam's and also understanding, right? That the world this idea that this world is for perfecting oneself, right? Now, okay, fine. I mean, okay. Something is not sitting well over here, but let's move on. Anyway, so let's just clarify just one point, is that, right, according to the Ramchal, the verse is saying, while you have the Bechira, exercise it, right? Because when you go into Kever, you're not going to have the Bechira, and therefore you're not going to have four things, right? Action, Cheshbon, Das, and Chochmah, right? Now, it's not a Chiddush. The Pasuk is not really telling me, oh, you're not going to have these four things in the kever. That is included in the first part of the pasuk, that whatever you do with your power, do. Obviously, that's not the message. The message already says, do what you can now, because later you're not going to be able to. That's done. Mm-hmm. The reason why the second part is coming to tell me, because in the kever there is no these four things, because that's the way Shlomo Melech is telling you what are the four things that you should be doing now, mm-hmm. right? Meaning that's the way he's telling you, concentrate on these four things now, because you're not going to have them later. But the point, we know that you're not going to have them later because you're going to be dead, and you're not going to have a bechira, and then obviously you're not going to have all those things. But this is the way he's saying these are the four things that you need in order to capitalize. And what are the four things? Again, Maisa, Cheshbon, Das, and Chochmah. Right? He doesn't dwell on Das, and I don't know why. Again, Chochmah we understand, Maisa we understand, and what he's adding with his twist is that Cheshbon is the, I don't know how to say it, meaning Maisa without Cheshbon is not really Maisa. It's Maisa and Cheshbon that allows you to bridge this gap between Maisa and Chochmah, so to speak. I guess that's the way.
Chochmah das goes aside, and Maisa and Cheshbon goes aside.
Oh, I'm sorry?
Chochmah das goes aside.
Chochmah and Das goes as a set. Yeah. So I'm not sure. So somebody translate the word Cheshbon, which again doesn't seem literally, as Machshavas Bina. Right, so Cheshbon is like a combination word of Chashev, Bon, Chashev Bina. So you have basically Cheshbon, Das, and Chochmah is Chabad, right?
Actually, that makes sense.
It does not make sense because Zichron, right? We have many words that have this form. So Chashav, Cheshbon is how you make a noun out of the word Chashav, Machshava.
But generally, just to do the action, you have to make right Cheshbonos, which action to do. To make right decision, I must have Chochmah Bina. And to do that, that's what it does. So they all connected, pretty much.
Right? No, for sure. But I think why for sure. But I don't think Chochmah over here is an extension of Maisa, according to the Ramchal. I think it's a separate avenue for acquisition of Olam Haba. There is the Maisa avenue, and then there's the Chochmah avenue. Right? Meaning a person could sit in his basement learn Torah his whole life, and he will acquire ruchnius. He will acquire olam haba.
Yeah, but without action.
No, without
let's
action,
say
it's meaningless. But it's not. But it's not that all of your chokhmah is supposed to boil down to action. I think chokhmah, as we saw in Derech Hashem, Torah is its own acquisition of olam haba.
Yeah.
So I think chokhmah is another thing that you're supposed to do. I don't know why he doesn't speak about das. Maybe I'm not sure. Das, I'm not sure. Okay, let's move on. So that's for the competitionists. Now we get to the simple folk, right? So what's going to inspire the populace? To them, they need simple accounting. Schar and oynish, reward and punishment. And specifically, I think he's going to talk about punishment. Because when they see the depth of judgment, how far it reaches. Asher be'emes ro'eli is dazeya, as and you'll be fitting to tremble, le'ischared tomed, to be constantly frightened, right? Who's going to stand on the day of judgment? Who's going to be a tzaddik before his creator, right? So, okay. So kasher hashkafosoi, whose kashkafa is whose view analysis middakdekes I'll call dover kotan agodol is middakdek, right? Is drills down to every detail, small or large. And so too, our sages said, "Umagid le'odom maseichai," and tell a person what will be his speech. Right? That's a pasuk in Amos. So Gemara learns from here, "Afilu sicha kalosh ben ishli ishtoi," even light speech between a man and his wife, magidim le'odom b'shasadin. They say over to a person at the time of his din. Right? So even frivolous conversation, meaning flirty speech that man and wife have, right? Even that's going to come up in judgment, right? Meaning every minor detail, right? Again, this is what he's saying. He's saying, according to him, if the whole point of Zehirus is watchfulness, vigilance, right? Being attentive to every aspect of one's part. So there is not a word, there is not a gesture, there is not an action that's supposed to be just blurted out, just whatever, just didn't think about it. Right? According to Ramachal, every waking moment becomes a conscious decision, right? Right? Again, so that's another thing that we should point out, is that Ramachal is not talking about like a person has a taiva for something, to do an avera. He knows it's wrong. He has a taiva to do it. He can't stop himself. Like that's not even in this book. That's over here somewhere. That's obviously if it says here don't steal and the guy goes to steal, so that's it. Watchfulness. We're not even talking to that person, right? Watchfulness is the pshat is everybody's good. They're trying to do good, but they're not thinking too much about it. So a lot of times, like you said, because the world is a very confusing place, a person will do thing that he thinks is good, but in reality it's not good. Why? Because he never gave himself enough time to really ponder upon it, right? So you got to be vigilant. You got to have a watchfulness, right? Oid Omru, they further said, Usvivov Nisarim Oid, Melamed Shakodesh Baruch Hu Midaktek Em Chasidu Kuchat Asayra. It teaches us that that Hashem is Midaktek, again, is meticulous with his Chasidim, with his pious ones, Kuchat Asayra, like a breath, hair breadth, right? So in other words, Hashem is going to be right, and every little slip up, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be medactic. And now he's going to go through a list of examples. Right now, the truth is, I don't know how I know how he means it. It seems like he's saying that even these great tzaddikim, which have done everything in their life to do Ratzon Hashem, and they were medactic like crazy, and even still, a small slip up was judged incredibly harshly. So kol shekain us that are not so, we don't have so much capital with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So certainly we have to be more careful, right? That's his kal v'chomer. Okay, what guy said the kal, right? I mean, the question you're asking is, maybe Hakadosh Baruch Hu is medactic with them, but with me, he's going to be like, for you, it's good enough.
But the Moshe, like Moshe has a small mistake. Because he was a Moshe, that's why he was.
Right,
So,
right. Meaning, why is Hashem medactic with them? Because they're so medactic with themselves. So he says, you should have felt better, right? I have students. For some students, you say, okay, no, you didn't know better. For some students, you say, I didn't expect this from you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, okay, I'm not Avram, I'm not Moshe. Okay, we can move on. Okay, all right, yeah, moving on. Okay, so Avraham. So he's going to go through these examples. Avraham is the one who's beloved to his creator. Love Avram Oihavi. The pasuk testifies on him that my beloved, right? Avram who loved me. Loi polat minadin. He did not escape judgment. Mehadvarim kalim, from light things. Shaloi diktik by him that he wasn't careful with them. Al shomer, on this that he said, B'me'ed Hashem, how will I know, right? How will I know that my children, etc.? Omer la Kodesh Baruch Hu. Hashem says, respond to him. Yodai Teda Chayecha. Yodai Teda. You should know. Your children will be enslaved for 400 years, right? So he said one slip up, and that slip up caused 400 years of slavery. Al Shikoras Bris Emavimelech. Below Tzivui Shel Mokom, and this that he made a bris with Avimelech without express tzivui from Hashem. Omer LaKadosh Baruch Hu, Chayecha she'ani mashe b'simchas banecha shiva doros. I will delay the happiness of your children for 7 generations. Meaning, I guess it's not the component of them coming to Eretz Yisrael after seven generations. Right. So, okay. All right. So, in other words, actions have consequences, and these consequences are not only consequences for our life. That's the lesson here, is that we have no idea. That's the scary part. We have no idea how our actions, they alter reality, and they alter reality not just for our lives, they alter reality for who knows what. And that's the scary part. We think, okay, it's a small slip up here, but in reality, a small slip up can alter who knows what. Anyways, good. Let's continue. Yaakov, al shechara apoy berachel, he got angry at Rachel. Shomer loy havali bonim, give me children. Omru b'midrash, right? And Hashem and Yaakov responded, right? Am I under? Am I a messenger of God? Right? What can I do? Is this how you answer people who are troubled? Mm-hmm. Right? Chayecha, again, I swear that your sons will stand before her son, meaning that the other children will be subservient to Yosef. Okay. All right. This one doesn't seem so bad. Right. What's the point? Okay, so his children, my other children. Okay, big deal. So what's the big deal? What's the big deal? So I would say that maybe again, this is a possibility. When you respond, this is again a scary thought, but when you respond to somebody in a negative way, right, you change the dynamics of a relationship, right? She is crushed, right? She comes to him for support, and instead he rebukes her. So the relationship, so meaning, I'm saying it's very possible that the root of the trouble between Yosef and his brothers really started with this minor rebuke of Yaakov to Rachel. Because at that point, the relationship between Yaakov and Rachel was altered. And that translated in the changed relationship between Yosef and the other brothers.
That was the echo of...
Right. Meaning it's a snowball effect that started with that kind of negative response. That negativity, that tension between Yaakov and Rachel translated into the tension between Yosef and his brothers. Okay, let's continue. This one is interesting. Lufish nosan is Dina Bateva, right? This is last week's parasha. Because he put Rachel into the box. Why? That Esav should not take her. Even though his kavana was definitely for good. Again, this is but because he held back chesed from his brother, Omru b'midrash, they said in the midrash, Omar la Kodesh Baruch Hu, lamas mireyu chesed, right? Loi bikash lahashul lemohol. You didn't want to give her to somebody who had bris milah, rehi niseis le'oro. So then she's going to get married to an oro. Loi bikash lahasir derech heter. You didn't want her, to marry her off in a kosher way. Rehi niseis derech yisur. She's going to be niseis derech yisur. Right? So now again, also, maybe this is a parable, right? Well, often we put our children into a box, right? We put our children into a box. We try to isolate them for their own good, for their protection. And in reality, what happened with Dina? Dina went out, right? And so she was what's called Yetzanis, meaning she was, meaning, again, these are stereotypes, but these are stereotypes. But the point is, right, that a girl's place, quote unquote, is in the house, and Dina was an outgoing, right? There's a whole thing, right? There's a whole. I remember who says this pshat, right? That Dina was really supposed to be Yosef, right? Because, right? So Leah was davened that she shouldn't have another son because so Rachel would also have two children. So their neshama switched. So Yosef was combing his hair, looking in the mirror, right? Yosef had these feminine qualities, while Dina, who had all these masculine qualities. Okay, but could be also over here. Yaakov was overprotective of Dina, right? He stuck her in the box, and really caused the opposite to happen. She became, quote unquote, a teen at risk, a rebellious child, and went out into the big world, and then and got attention from Chamor. So, but that's just the story. But Lamaisa, if I was Yaakov, I'd also put Dina into the box. So if we're talking about Zehirus, I'm sure Yaakov cheshboned out this decision very well. Right? Mm-hmm. He thought about it and says, I'm not giving Dina to this guy, crazy. Okay, who is he? I wouldn't either, right? This is Rosh Marusha,
Cancels
What?
Right, okay.
So the shot that is usually given is that Dina had this incredible power, because you see Chamor, after he did what he did, he was willing to do whatever is necessary just to have her. So Dina had this incredible power of changing her male partner, right? So maybe if Esav would have had Dina, Esav would have done tshuva, and he would have done okay. But these are not. Again, if I see some tattooed biker shows up and a drug addict and he wants to marry my daughter, I take a bat and try to send him away. I don't care if
There's potential.
Right? Rosh Lakish's story is nice, but I'm not so. What's the word?
Not a mahedra.
Right. So okay. So again, I don't know how this works out. How this works out, but back to our question is that he did a cheshbon. The cheshbon was wrong. He had good intentions. So, what am I supposed to learn from this? Right? That I have to be more watchful. Okay, he was watchful. He cheshbon things out. I don't So I don't know what I'm supposed to learn from this. Right? Suggestions? Unless this is really not an example. The point here is not to show example of watchfulness. The point is to show how far-reaching the consequences of our actions are in general. Okay. Or that, but he spells out. The point is that he does spell out that even though he had good intentions, right? So his intentions were good, and yet there was a punishment. I don't know. I'm not sure what to say here. Okay, let's continue. Yosef, right? Yosef, Lefisha Omar, Lasara Mashkin, because he told Sarah Mashkin, Kim Zechartani Itchod, please remember me with you, right? 2 years were added to his sentence. Yosef Atzmoy, Yosef himself, Al Shechonat Es Oviv Bli Reshusay Shalom Alkoim, because he embalmed his father without the express permission from Hashem, or Lefisha Shoma Avdecha Avinu, or because he heard, right? Also, when Yehuda was begging for him to let him go, he heard the word your servant, our father, V'shosak, and he was quiet. Okay, Lemarkedis, Lemarkedis, according to different opinions, right? Meis Lefnei Achiv, as a result, he died before his brothers. Yeah. Okay. Meaning, there are two reasons. Meaning, there's a machlokas. What is the reason that Yosef died before? For which sin was Yosef punished to death before his brothers? One opinion says because he embalmed his father, and the other opinion says because he was quiet when they said your servant, our father. Right? That's the machlokas. Those are different opinions. So. Fine, moving on. David, Lefisha Karo Ledivrei Torah Zmiros, because he called the words of Torah a song. Nana Shnishal B'dvar Uzzah, that he made a mistake with Uzzah. When his Sarba was Simchasa, and his Simcha was destroyed. Right. This is with his. What's the story with Uzzah? That's we're talking about when they were bringing the Aron back from the Plishtim, and the Aron slipped. Aron slipped, and they tried to catch him, right? And as a result, there was a Magefa. So that that destroyed that whole episode of bringing the Aron back to Yerushalayim, or back to whatever. Okay, Michal, right? Daughter of Shaul HaMelech and David's wife. She criticized David because he overdanced, before the Aron Kodesh. She was punished. She didn't have a child until the day of her death. Right. So, right again. So she was a princess. She was royalty. She demanded that David also act with appropriate royalty, and David felt that you have to what's the word, disroyal yourself before the Aron, to show that the only royalty is Hashem and the Torah, and because of that, because of her, what's the word, snobbery, she was punished of not having children. Again, snobbery and having children is the truth is a contradiction. Snobs don't make good mothers or fathers. Okay. Chizkiyahu lefi shehera al sorei Chizkiyahu lefi shehera al sorei melech Bavel as beis nechaisoi nigzer al bonav liyos serisim beichel melech Bavel. Right. So he showed off his treasure houses. So his children were basically servants, eunuchs by the kings of Babylonia. Right? So, okay. How far do we go? And so many examples like this. So those are from the Tanakh. Now he's going to talk about more from okay, I think maybe we stop here today. Yeah. Okay. Let's take a pause because this next piece is kind of continuous.